Hi, everyone. Welcome to this conversation between myself, Andy Cruz, and my friend Harris Kulosman. We're going to talk about video specifically today. We're both kind of in this space, as you guys, well, those of you who know Harris already know that, but those of you who don't know, we are in that space as well. Welcome to our podcast studio. Harris and I had met each other because of the BNI San Diego connection, met each other at a leadership team training, but we share a lot of the same ideas, values, and efforts in this space. So I wanted to have a focused conversation about what people need to know in video space, how you can help people, how we're currently helping people. And there's a lot, I think, of misconceptions about what it takes to consistently make business videos, or if you're an entrepreneur, about your service or your product. So I want to talk about some of that today, uncover some of those myths, encourage some people, and then talk about what our service offerings are and maybe help some people along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on, Andy.
Thank you for coming all the way down here. So welcome back to the studio. Now, the first conversation we had, I kind of left that going, shoot, we should have recorded that.
Yeah,
so
literally.
I guess this is our take two, many weeks later of, hey, let's record that conversation. So let's first start talking about, okay, set the table. What are you doing in the business space? What are you doing with video? What are people hiring you for? And how are you helping businesses?
Yeah, so we are Operate Creative, a white glove social media agency, as I like to call it. We're helping small business owners and primarily small business. That's really where our business has been focused the last few years and really where I want to go. But essentially, our goal is to help businesses get more customers and do new marketing methods outside of maybe your traditional marketing that a lot of industries have kind of just kept doing years and years over and over again. So a lot of what we're doing is trying to be more creative, trying to create more video content for maybe business owners who, when they got into business, they never even heard of video content, but now this is their opportunity to really do it and excel at it.
So can you give me an example of something where, because you're saying help people be more creative, that's fine. And that's like very artistic, right? It's artistic of you to say that. I know what you mean, I think, but tell people, like, what do you mean by that? Like, when they're coming to you and they're being referred to you, what needs more creativity?
Absolutely. That's a good question. What I would say to answer that would be oftentimes when people do their traditional marketing methods, you see a lot of the same stuff. So I'll give you an example. If somebody does like a mail-in flyer campaign, it seems like it's the same copy paste template everyone else is doing. What we're doing is disrupting those markets through social media video. So we're being more creative in the way that we present their messaging and their branding through short form reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts, and so on and so on.
What has been the thing that business owners or entrepreneurs have been most reluctant to do?
Honestly, for me, it's been creating content if we're shooting in person. That can be a hard sell sometimes to people, especially if they've never created content. Now, you and I had this conversation last time where we're fine with creating content because we do this all the time, right, every day. But when you meet a business owner who's maybe owned their business for 25 years and for 24 years, all they have done is word of mouth, traditional marketing methods. And I come to the table and I say, hey, I have this new idea for you where we're going to create social media content. You're going to be in the videos. You're going to be talking. Sometimes they freeze up and they say, whoa. I wanted to hire you to do our social media. What do you mean now I have to be in the video and I have to participate and so on and so on. So I would say that would be, I'd say the harder sell to convince business owners.
So a little anecdote here. I was at a BNI mixer recently and we were talking, someone else at the table who, it was a BNI, multi-chapter mixer. And so one of my chapter members who also hosts his show here was telling someone else in another chapter, he goes, man, you would be a wonderful podcast host. I see it, your temperament, your pacing, your tone, your energy, your eye contact, you would be great at this. And she says, oh gosh, I don't know. And like after he like already said all these complimentary things, like all these like hallmarks of being a good like person on camera and talking, he's like, oh, I'm not sure. I was like, how many years have you been successful in business? She's like, okay. I was like,
it's so true. Well, it's funny.
And I didn't mean it to be like a jab, but it was kind of like, do you talk about your work all day? Like, yeah, I do. Like, okay, well, that's what we do here.
Let's just record it. And we had that same conversation, not to, go off track, but we had that same conversation is honestly, everything you do in your day-to-day life, meet with clients. Like for me, it's go to video shoots, do video editing, manage my team. A lot of that can be turned into content. And then in the podcast studio, we just have regular conversations with business partners, colleagues, etc. Just do that in a podcast setting. And there you go. Now you have, a month of content, 2 weeks of content, and you get somebody to clip it for you and you're good to go.
One of the hurdles I see most times from people is they think, oh, well, my life's not interesting. or what I do isn't important enough to film. Like it's going on like television on Thursday night at 8 p.m. to the 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. time slot, before the evening news comes on at 10 or whatever. But it's like, that's not the way it is anymore. So one of the things I know I have to help like demystify for people is that, I need to look a certain way, sound a certain way. It's like, no, if someone is coming to you for tax advice, they care about you being good at tax advice. I hope they're not looking at your hair and your makeup and your shoes, right? Like maybe they are, but honestly, if you have like a super picky, judgy client, they're probably not your client anyways. It's probably not the person that you're going to want to have around all the time. No, I'm super passing judgment on people who are judgmental. Check that out. Whoa.
Yeah.
But my point I'm making is that a lot of people I talk with, they have these preconceived notions of they have to be someone else or someone better before they can be the person that the customer finds that already trusts them and gives a 5-star Google review and writes the nice complimentary message, gives the testimonial and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I would agree with that too. Like one of the things that I would say to kind of piggyback on that is I meet a lot of people where they have a book of business that's thousands of customers long. And I'm like, they already like you. Oftentimes it's because, like, let's be honest, in business, in the small business world, most people work with other people because they like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can throw in price objection in there. You could throw in quality of work. Absolutely. But if you have good quality work and you're a similar price, but somebody likes you more, they're going to work with you.
I'm over here laughing because your point of, hey, you have thousands of customers. You've been in business for 20 years. They've probably already seen you.
Yeah.
They probably know what you look
and
like.
They know what your hair looks like.
They know how you sound. They've already paid you, and they probably paid you year over year for many years without giving a rip about what you look like. So this is a very welcoming space that we find ourselves in. I'll say video-wise, technologically, culturally. Even just the way we consume TV at home by going to the YouTube app and watching YouTube on our TV at home now. Yeah. And I'm not looking for just, what's the super trim, polished, perfectly scripted, da-da-da. I'm like, what's the conversation I'm interested in?
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this last time. It's like even SEO has turned into SIO. It's not just search engine optimization. It's search interest optimization.
Absolutely.
And all these platforms are trying to give Harris more of what he's interested, more of what he's interested in, more of what he's interested in, because you're more likely to stay.
Exactly.
And so those of us who are having a problem with a certain service or a product in our life and I'm looking for a solution, I'm interested in that outcome and I'm looking for it and I'm finding it. The problem that makes Uncle Andy in the corner rant is I'm not finding my friends a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it'd be easy for someone to go, he just wants his friends to buy from him. I don't care if you don't even have to use me. Please find somebody that you're willing to stand in front of the camera and do the work with you so that when I search for the answer to the problem I'm having, I find you.
Absolutely.
Even if I didn't make it. Yeah. That's my advocacy to people.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that. I actually did want to touch on the search interest a little bit, kind of what you said. Something I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday was what we're doing in the space from the social media world. And I would imagine it's very similar in the podcasting, YouTube 4K, long form world, is when we work with these industries of people who are interested in doing social media, oftentimes what we see is at the industry level, their businesses, like I'll give you an example, construction, very competitive in San Diego, very competitive everywhere, probably, very, very competitive at the industry level. But when you get into how are they doing in the social media and podcast world, nobody. It's dead silence. Very few people are doing that sort of stuff, but there's an opportunity to where if you can get good at it, especially right now, going to the next 5-10 years, you could win in that arena very easily.
I 100% agree with you. And as you said, the example of construction, I immediately thought of a show I used to watch with my wife and we loved it. It was called Holmes on Homes. Mm-hmm. And it was this guy, his last name was Holmes, and he was like a home inspector and a general contractor. And I think it was in Canada. And the whole show was around him going and inspecting other people's homes and teaching them what's wrong, what's right, how is it done, this is done well, this is done poorly, this you could fix, this has 10 years left. And he just used his industry knowledge and he shared with people. He was not beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes. I'm not saying that you look ugly. He was a construction guy. He was like, hey, I'm sharing my knowledge, my decades of experience with people so they can make right choices in their home purchase, or they can make the right renovations to the place that they just bought that's kind of old and needs to get some, upkeep or some updating. And people watched it like me because he was sharing valuable information.
Absolutely.
Not because it was the prettiest thing to watch.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And honestly, I would double down on that point and say, people are not watching content generally because of how somebody looks, especially business related content, right? Where they're trying to learn something. Like you mentioned tax earlier. If I'm looking for tax advice, maybe on YouTube, or want to see somebody who's giving tax advice, I could care less about what their hair looks like, or maybe what they dress like, or their shoes. All I want to know is how knowledgeable are you in this field, and how much value are you going to provide to me in your content and when I work with you and pay you.
Are there other industries that like you're thinking about in addition to construction where maybe there's like complete open territory where no one has really kind of put a stake in the ground and kind of owned it, if you will? Mm-hmm. Are there any other on your mind that you think could be an amazing like uplift for someone who isn't in that space but should consider it for what they do?
Yes. Yeah. It would be property management. So we have a client in property management who we're doing exactly what we just talked about. The space at the industry level, hyper competitive. Obviously, how many property managers do you know? You probably named 10. But in the social media realm, dead silence. And we have created a content strategy for him that is exploding and it's crushing it in that space because nobody else is doing it. And to top that all off, if somebody is doing it, they're generally not doing it very well. So that'll automatically give you bonus props in your content. If somebody's doing it really bad and you're crushing it, I mean, you could blow it out of the water.
So let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
If they're not doing it well, but they're doing it consistently, does that count?
Yes and no. So if they're doing it consistently, that's great. It's a good start. But for me, what consistency means is consistently getting better, right? Because if you're just doing the same thing over and over again, but you do it consistently, but you're not doing it well, I don't see a ton of value in that. But like Gary Vee always says, like, just post every single day. That's what you got to do. But really, I think what he means is post every day and figure out how to get better every single day. Because if you can constantly make your content better, think about what you could do in 12 months, 36 months, whatever it may be. You'll be crushing it in your space if you're always trying to do better.
And I don't think you knew this coming in, but your reference for a property manager, we actually just started a property management show here this quarter.
Oh, that's awesome.
With a BNI member who does property management, and it launches at the beginning of 2026. So we're pre-recording the entire first quarter episodes. We're already 6 episodes in.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's funny, like, that question is funny because like, absolutely there's people out there, but more so like overall in the grand scheme of things, social media marketing is not a property management business value, right? Like I would say real estate agents, they focus a lot on social media. Like that's kind of already been in the air and it's talked about in the industry. Like you got to get on social, but there are, times where somebody will come to me and say, well, hey, I know this guy does it for sure, but how many do you know that don't do it? That's awesome that they're starting it.
Well, cool. and I know that it's not for everybody. It's not everyone's appetite. It's not like you have to have a show or you're going to be unsuccessful because, again, you're already in business and you're successful. I think what it comes down to nowadays is multifold. I think of it multifold. Part A. If you have a current customer database, are you creating content that you're also emailing to them or texting directly to them? Not just like hoping it falls into their lap in social media space. You're just leaving it to the algorithm to decide, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of part A. Part B is when you have given your knowledge, your track record, your experience, and all this anecdotal evidence of why certain things work in your industry, why certain things don't, why you should avoid these things and then do these other things, you're building credibility that other people can latch onto and share in a way that has meaning and depth to it versus something that's like really pizzazzy and like really quick.
Yeah.
Those things, when utilized, can be a great bolt on to what you're already doing successfully in business. Now, that goes to part C. If you're doing it and your competitor is not, that's actually something you can kind of leverage in your pitch if you need to really pitch it. Like, hey, look, I talk about this all the time. You can find me here, 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 and here. You cited this specific concern about this thing. Here's an episode I talked entirely about that for an hour and a half or 40 minutes or 30 minutes. Like, if your competitor doesn't have that, you kind of have a leg up.
Absolutely. It's almost, I would even make this comparison. If you're creating content and your competitor isn't, imagine if all of your competitors didn't own a cell phone and had no way to call their customers, and you were the only one who did. How much of an advantage would that give you? So I try to make that comparison. Obviously, it's an extreme scenario, but it does build that picture in your mind of like, what does this look like on an extreme scale? If I really was to do this every single day, all the time, and just go all in on this content creation, whether it's with you in long form and doing the podcast setup and the show, or it's with me and creating content and going through strategy, you can crush it in these spaces.
The opposite would be in 2026, just start faxing everyone again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fax sales proposals to people.
That's all we do is fax.
We just do fax.
Yeah.
That would be a funny show to do. Like do businesses that unsuccessful businesses in 2026.
Yeah.
Fax machine salesman.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. I would love that.
Or fax to fax sales sales flyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we, everyone else is moving forward. We're moving backwards.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Hey, when's the last time you had a Yellow Pages? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so talk about what are people missing that they need to be paying attention to right now? Something that's changed in the market, or something you think on the horizon that your like best estimated guess as a professional in this space is looking at to help your current clientele?
Yeah, I would say currently in the social media world, one thing I used to say, because I've owned this company, it'll be 4 years now in March, is when I started, if you were creating content, then you're ahead of the ball game. Now it's switched, and I see it changing that if you are creating content, you're on par with everyone else. So you have to be creating content at an excellent level now to stand out compared to just creating it at all. So I'd say that's the biggest thing I've seen in our market.
I'm noticing two things that I keep having other people tell me that have a lot more followers, a lot more like longevity in this space than even I do, even after the years we've done it, is it's two parts. Part A, subscribers aren't all they're chalked up to be. Mm-hmm. And part B, it's more about the shares than the likes.
Absolutely.
So can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Happy to talk about that.
So when it comes to like, let's say Instagram or TikTok, everyone get, I have 500,000 followers, or I have 1 million followers, or I have like 12 followers. Why are followers not exactly where it's at? Why is it about the shares?
Interest media, because people are watching what they're interested in. I may follow Andy Cruz Productions or, Andy Cruz on social media, but if all Andy posts about is stuff that I have no interest in, your stuff will never show up on my feed. Now, if Andy Cruz posts all the time about business content, podcasting, social media, well, it doesn't matter if I follow you or not, it's going to land on my feed one way or another. And really, from a lead perspective, as far as like when we work with our clients, our goal is to get them as many leads as possible and really as much business as possible. I have accounts that have 100 followers that we started with last month that get more leads than some accounts that have 5,000 that we've been working on for 2 years. Now, it's not to say that it doesn't matter at all, but there is that distinction where if your only goal is to grow your business with social media, then followers are not necessarily, a one-all be-all.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of conversation recently about shares and how shares are really what is going to be the telltale sign of whether or not you have traction with the content you're making. Likes is easy. I just hit the button. Share requires me to do something next, right? This sounds so lazy. Like, a like, you just press the screen once. A share, you press it twice.
So much more work, though. It really is.
My gosh, I had to do twice as much work. But in the context of social sharing, if I find something funny, I'm DMing it to you, or I'm texting it to you. Yeah. Or if you tell me something and you had a problem and I happen to see that something that might be a solution and I care and love and know you, shoot, I'm going to forward this over to you. I want you to see this. Is this a solution? Maybe, I don't know. Absolutely. I'm just trying to be a good friend. So I think what I'm taking, my takeaway is that that's become a better representation of depth of, not urgency. That's not the word. Depth of doability, I guess is what I mean. Yeah. Is this means more for me to share than to go to the next thing.
Exactly. And that's exactly how, I'm perceiving the algorithms that way. And from like the Instagram and TikTok world, that's what we're seeing is generally videos, because you're right, because it does take the extra action. And it means that the video is so important and so good or so funny that you have to send it to that person. They have to see this. You're not just, hey, you should go watch this one video, look up what it means. You're actually sending the original clip. Like, you need to watch this. So I think that's how they're treating the algorithms nowadays. And we have a big focus on that too, as far as wanting shareable content. And then something you might have touched on, but I'm not sure if I heard it, was commenting. That works in a similar way too. I don't know how it is in like the long form YouTube world, but what we're seeing a lot of is if a post gets a ton of comments, it'll start blowing up, and it won't stop until people stop commenting.
Yeah.
So
and that goes both ways, good and bad.
Yes.
I had an episode recently on another show that I produce here, and we were talking about the book, actually, the Indianapolis story. And people are chiming in on their perspective of the Indianapolis. It just so happens that my friend Sarah, my personal friend Sarah, since like the late 90s, older than you are, is the author. And she's the one who the survivors organization handed their rights to, so she could tell the legacy story of the people that survived. And she recorded hundreds of hours of all these men who survived the ship sinking. And then people were like arguing about it in the comments, like, you can argue all you want, but like, this is their actual story. It's not some fabrication of what happened. So
it helps boost the story out to more people, right?
So that's the thing. It's like some of these comments, like, they were totally inaccurate, but at the same time, I'm like, well, gosh, it's getting more views. It's getting more views,
more traction,
and it's being shared. And I was like, oh, it's being shared. Good or bad, it was still being shared, and then it kind of whipped up a little bit of a little run there. It wasn't like a terrible one, but it was, not a good, terribly awesome one, but it still did.
That's why political content does so well on really all platforms, not just, short form, but also long form. You see now, more politicians are going on podcasts. You see that sort of space being infiltrated now because a lot of people have a lot to say, right? Because if one side disagrees, they're going to comment. And if the side that does agree, they're going to fight those comments. So everyone is now forced to be in the conversation. And that's really why it's genius. If you are somebody who doesn't care how you grow, you just want to grow, like, get a politician on your podcast. That's probably the best way to do it. So it's 100%. You're spot on with that.
So what are you already working on with people right now in Q4 in preparation for 2026? So I'm going to take a victory lap. Take your humbleness off for a second. Like, talk to everyone practically. Like, what are you doing to help people win in the new year?
Yeah. So a lot of it's going to be looking at what we did well or great, and then also looking at what we didn't do well. So that's the biggest thing that we always focus on is, I've told you in this conversation, is we always want to get better, right? And my job as the agency owner is to make sure we have the right strategy for our clients. So not only do they keep winning, but they win even more, 2-3 times more than they did this previous year. So a lot of what we're doing is having recap meetings over, hey, how was the past year? What are you happy with? What are you not happy with? What do you want to see more of? And honestly, for the clients who maybe didn't love their strategy this year, we're adjusting it for 2026 and saying, this is what we can do differently. I have some ideas because I want to make sure that I have all the answers for them because it's my job to have the answers.
So do you have a, well, no, actually, I guess it's the other way. Is there something you don't have in your business that you want? Like, you have this, like, a client, like, do you want a bail bondsman? Like, what's the gap on your, like, org, or your client list where you're like, oh, if I had this kind of client, I would love it. Part A, and part B, I could help them kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be coffee shops. It's funny.
Oh, really?
Coffee shops. Yeah, because I started in a coffee shop. That's how I learned how to do this. And it sounds very odd, but it's been something that's, for the longest time, it was like real estate agents. I was like, I want to work with real estate agents. And I had some trouble finding real estate agents, who'd commit to this. Whatever, time goes on, work with a ton of real estate agents, stuff happens. But when I started in this industry, I learned how to do this for my father at his coffee shop. And then I went on and I said, well, let me make this into a business. And it's like, how can I not find any clients in the coffee space, right? Like, why is this so difficult? I've done a little bit of collaboration with them, but more so as like a high paying long time client, or like a high ticket client per se. That would be who I'd be looking for. And it's funny that you asked that.
Shout out Dad's Coffee Shop. Where is it?
It closed down years ago.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't plug it anymore.
Okay. I was like, shoot, give your dad a shout out, man.
No.
I'm a dad. Give dad a pat on the back.
Love it. Yeah, no, my business is more important, as I tell them.
Hey, Dad, yeah. I already parted ways.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I got my own thing going now.
Okay, so the other thing is, I was going to ask you, like, what's the dark horse or what's the underdog for 2026? If you're to guess, like, a platform or type of content, or maybe let's do both. Let's talk about platform first. What do you think is a dark horse platform in 2026? Who do you think everyone's sleeping on that they shouldn't be sleeping on?
YouTube Shorts.
Really?
Yeah, YouTube Shorts.
Okay, how come though? Because I see a lot. I mean, I guess for me, I'm in YouTube Shorts all the time because I'm doing the podcasting, which goes on YouTube, and then that generates shorts. So like, I'm there all the time. Why are you saying that's the dark horse of the new year? Because
everyone has started to figure out that Instagram and TikTok are the next big thing. They haven't figured out that YouTube Shorts is the next big thing. They haven't figured out that you can get into the algorithm and then post long form content and have that short content directly lead into your long form. And really what long form is going to do is going to give you 20, 30, 45, 60, 90 minutes to sell that person on your services or on yourself. That's why I think it's the dark horse, and people just haven't realized it yet.
Dude, that's crazy, because to me, like, we're in it every day of the business week, and it's like, actually, I don't know why I said it that way. I'm in freaking shorts every day, Saturday and Sunday too. That's not even it's a business week. Like, I'm not there on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to like pretend like I'm not.
Yeah. Well,
I'm totally on there on Saturday and Sunday too.
It 100% is, and it's weird. We talked about this last time, but it is a pendulum, sort of, right? We had a long conversation about that. But people started on YouTube, then they went all the way to Instagram, to Facebook, and to TikTok, and then now it's swinging right back, and it's going to be into YouTube Shorts, leading to long form.
And part of that, I think, is evidenced by the Nielsen ratings, which we are sharing. The Nielsen ratings at the end of 2024 were showing that of all television streamed at homes, YouTube was the king. Yeah. And then by the halfway point of 2025, YouTube was still the king of all streamed content at home, but by a larger margin. And for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, in case you thought Netflix was the king of streaming TV, it's not. Netflix is actually number 2 to YouTube. YouTube's number 1. Netflix is number 2, and it's by a significant margin.
It's wild.
Last time I checked, I want to say YouTube was 12.8% of all television watched, and Netflix was 8%. Like, statistically different. And then after Netflix, I want to say it was Amazon Prime at like
Hulu.
4.3, or maybe it's Hulu.
Hulu or Prime.
But Disney and Hulu are bulked up together. They're like 4 something.
So that's why I think they were higher. But yeah, because they bulked them,
which is crazy, because you're talking about Disney Plus and Hulu together are still a third of what YouTube is.
It's wild.
So, anyways, I have a whole idea about that, of why it is. It has everything to do with long-form content, podcasts, and creator-driven content versus studio-driven content. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah, and just to touch on your point a little bit more, what I'm seeing a lot of as far as the YouTube short stuff is right now it's currently still the platform where businesses haven't infiltrated, at that level yet. What I'm seeing a lot of is kind of what you said, creator content, where people are posting for fun and it's still cool and there's not that many ads. And I mean, from an advertising model, there is, but it's still like the cool new thing to do, which was TikTok a couple years back. But now businesses have figured out they need to be on TikTok, and they've infiltrated that space. So that was something I wanted to touch on as well, since you brought up the Nielsen ratings. And I think that's just going to continue. I mean, that gap is going to continue to grow. I think it'll maybe even double in the next 5-6 years.
That's a big, you know what? Hold on. I was about to react and go, wow, that's a big multiplier, but maybe it's not. Might be right on the point. So the reason is because my next question I was going to ask you is, what are your feelings and your impressions about how AI is just infiltrating these spaces? Even though I'll say people are like maybe later to the game in YouTube as a business, what do you think AI's influence is going to be on all the things we're talking about right now?
Yeah, I think it's going to make content creation more streamlined. So from an ideation standpoint, it's going to be a little bit easier. I think from a training standpoint, as far as like, hey, how can I talk about this content and educate people? That'll be a little bit smoother. I don't see, I see a lot of people saying, well, all of our content's going to be replaced by AI. I don't see that. I think people yearn for authenticity, for human connection. That's why we do this. That's why we create content, because we can just watch it from our homes and not actually have to go talk to each other. But AI, I think, is going to be a good thing for the content industry, because it's going to make things easier. I think it's going to encourage more people to create content. And I think that's good for both of our businesses.
Is there anything that on the surface concerns you about it?
Yes, I would say really just looking into how people are using it as a bad thing. I mean, it's like, you can have 30 good things, but if you have one bad apple, right, like it's going to make the whole thing look bad. I see, a whole lot of legal issues coming down the road in the next probably decade with, did this actually happen or is it AI? How do you decipher, because I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Sora stuff, but it's starting to get difficult.
Starting to look really clean.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to like really look for some nuanced stuff. I'm not talking about like the third arm coming out of the chest. I'm talking about like really minute stuff.
Yeah,
where you're
it's blurry around the edges. Yeah. You got to zoom in. It's hard.
Some of it's really good.
I've been fooled by it too, and it's like I sometimes like sit back and I'm almost a little nervous. I'm like, wow, am I really getting fooled by this? Like, this is scary. I mean, what if, there's content creators right now that are all AI. People don't realize. Yeah. I don't know the handle off the top of my head, but Gary Vee had spoken on it, and there was a Instagram page with like 100,000 followers. All AI. People have no clue.
Yeah, all generative. Yes, all generative
Crazy.
content. I think that's something where I ultimately, and I don't know how soon or how far down in the distance this could occur. I think it's going to be very synonymous with how we consume synthetic or organic food. Like we have to be, we're careful with what we put in our body. We're careful with what we put in our body. Most people aren't. I think we're becoming a little more culturally conscious of where our food comes from, what we're eating, and what it's doing to us. You see a decline in alcohol sales. You see people publicly talking about decreasing sugar or cutting sugar out altogether. I mean, it's all sorts
Food
of like
dyes, all sorts
of stuff, right? Yeah, seed oils and all stuff. Okay, now that's because for decades we've gone, oh, all this stuff that's synthetic, that's easy, that's cheap to have and get and consume. Oh, what do you mean it's bad for us? I alternatively think at the same time that we look for labels on the shelf, organic, grass-fed, non-GMO, blah, 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 right? Already on the backside of YouTube, you have to mark whether you have content that's been altered or not.
Yeah.
So you choose yes or no. Does any of this represent someone who is not a real person, or make the real person look or do something that they actually didn't do, or make a place misrepresent what it actually is, et cetera, et cetera.
An AI generated label will come up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so then there's like this fork in the road between here's this synthetic AI stuff and here's the organic real stuff. I think our consumption behavior will lean towards our preference once we have a appetite for one and a distaste for the other.
Absolutely.
To use the food
I'm
analogy
seeing
again.
That, especially, absolutely. And I think I'm seeing that with the younger generation, specifically Gen Z. As a member of Gen Z, I think people plug the generation, by the way. But as
thanks for
somebody
pointing that out.
I had to. But as somebody who is in a lot of social circles and in a lot of the mainstream stuff going on with maybe the social and political climate of, maybe our generation, I see a lot of stuff on both sides. What I am seeing more of is a distaste towards AI. And there's also environmental concerns I've seen people bring up. Now, that's a whole different conversation, a whole different story. But overall, the fear is exactly what we're talking about. Is this going to lead to more harm than it is good?
I think one of the things I'm concerned about from a psychological perspective, and it's also a business and creator perspective, is I think that if people find success by using generative means to create content, it will incentivize them to be lazy.
Yeah.
I really think it has the potential to incentivize laziness, which snuffs out the creative spirit. And I don't mean that in some like ethereal, weird, ambiguous, non-tangible way, but like when we look at the things we enjoy movies-wise, TV, music, some of the most like classic, well-known, well-respected, or revealed and regarded things were made by people who had a outlier talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if that outlier talent isn't demonstrated in its natural way, and it's replaced or supplanted by a synthetic way, I would hate to see that happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And I really hope that laziness doesn't generate like a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want people to have a positive outcome. I don't want laziness to be the root.
Yeah.
I think if your creative spirit's still there and there's outcome, awesome. That's amazing. The laziness part really gets me because behaviorally speaking, when people are here and they're live and they're engaged, it's always way better.
Oh,
it's way better than Zoom. It's way better than we do like a FaceTime interview.
Yeah.
Like this right here is where it's at.
100%. It's way better. And that goes with everything. I mean, we've even spoken like, you made me think of something great is BNI. I love meeting my BNI chapter. And I know some people do it online, but are you guys online or?
We're in person only.
Only. Okay. We are too. I speak to other people in other chapters and I say, and they love to say, well, I like the convenience of being online.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. How many people, what's the attendance when people are online and what's the attendance when people are in person? I bet you a lot more people show up because they crave that connection.
Yeah.
What kind of relationships do you have that are better online than they generally are in person? I mean, I'm not saying it's the case every time, but overall, more often than not. So I'm with you on that. And honestly, as far as the AI thing, like I'm hoping what happens is as a species, we start to evolve and recognize recognize AI generated content, but I think we're already behind the 8 ball in that one.
Yeah,
So.
it just gets better and it gets better faster. It's
Yeah.
that, it's that multiplication factor And by the time people watch this, there's already gonna be something new out. And by the time someone forwards this to someone else, there's gonna be another new thing out. And then by the time
32 or something,
in like 6 months from now, after this airs, people will go, are they even two real people?
yeah, they're gonna ask if we're AI.
Yeah, I think this was some AI conversation and it was generative. They weren't actually there in person.
Yeah.
So, okay, what else is on your mind that I haven't asked you about?
Maybe about our business and sort of where we're heading in 2026.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
I'd love to. So in 2026, what we plan to do is double down on our commitment to small business. As I've told you, and I'll tell them now, my father was a small business owner. So that's where I kind of got the leap into the world. I've had a lot of conversations about this, both publicly, privately. Wanting to help small businesses is our number one priority. I see a lot of agencies when they start to get really good at what they're doing, they get some capital, they get some customers, maybe even take out some money, take out some debt. What they're doing is they're trying to target larger, higher paying clients. Naturally, I don't blame anybody for doing that, but our goal to create a sustainable brand, something that's going to last the next 10 to 20 years, is to focus on who helped us start our company, and that's small businesses. And that is really what I want to double and triple down on in 2026.
I love that you just said that because I am announcing here for the first time my entire strategy for sales in 2026.
Yeah.
It's super simple, and it's super simple on purpose. I want to help active business owners who are comfortable behind the phone and comfortable behind their keyboard become comfortable behind the mic.
Love it.
That's my goal for 2026.
Love it.
I want to help more businesses be comfortable behind the microphone and get their voice out because again, you're super young, dude. I've been in B&I since 2009. I know so many people since even then that have these storied careers and they are so good at what they do and not enough people know about them.
Yeah.
It's like that, in B&I, we talk about visibility, credibility, profitability. If I can help dial up that visibility for my friends in business that are doing great things, quietly that most people will never even hear about, I would love to dial up that visibility with them by helping them be more comfortable behind the mic in 2026. So
love it.
That's where I'm going.
And that's why I think we get along so well, because we have the same vision for small businesses and really entrepreneurs in general. Because that was another thing that we struggle with, where you guys are a little bit stronger on as far as, and we're going to continue to have this conversation, is how can we make more people feel comfortable behind the microphone? Because it's not as simple as just, be yourself. Well, it sounds easy until you're behind the microphone and it's an awkward environment and it's tense. But really, I think what it comes down to and what you're really good at is, one, you're forcing the conversation. You're really good at speaking to people. So you almost pull me in and force me to answer questions, I've noticed, since we've had this. And I can imagine how that could be for somebody who doesn't create content, right? Like, I've been in front of a bunch of cameras. I've always been comfortable, so it's never been an issue. But the second thing is repetition. You do your first podcast, compare it to your 100th. Let me know how big of a difference you see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm really excited about the way the trend of the way things are going. I think we've been very I'll say fortunate to have created a space, a physical space that can pump out the content like this, that is also inviting and welcoming to other people that might be a little hesitant. Yeah. I think that we occupy this sweet spot where they don't leave here and they have to do something else with it. We're going to deliver it back. I have talked to a number of people around town that have podcast studios, camera equipment, or a space you could do shows. And I have found very few that are turnkey. Yeah. Where you can come in, do your show, leave, and then you get back everything finished. Yeah. My stated goal to our clientele and even to my, I'll say, competitors, my friends in the space is I want this to be the Amazon of the podcast experience. Yeah, I love it. You order your show shows up. Yeah. It's no assembly required even. Yeah. I want it, it's already put together. Go post it, go schedule it, go upload it or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, to speak on that, which I love, by the way, because you're right. Some podcast studios don't do all that turnkey stuff. They'll just kind of send you the SD card file and it's then you never end up posting it. And then it's wait, how do I edit this? Oh, now I have to pay for an editor. Now I have to do all these things. Oh, well, who's a good editor? What if they don't do it the way I like? And so many questions down the line. But even with us, we're the turnkey version of you guys, but in the social media short form space, right? So what we're doing is all the client has to do, just like in your case, show up, I mean, we have the script ready, and we'll even take it a step further, which I'm sure you guys do too, but we'll give them caption suggestions. Here's how we would caption it if it was our video. And I send them their deliverables. They're very clear, concise. And that's what I'll be doing today after our shoot is exactly what I just explained. You're going to get a video, you're going to get caption suggestions. You're even going to get times to post that we think are the best.
Yeah.
So literally all you have to do is hit like 3 buttons. Yeah. And you're good.
It's so good, man. I'm so proud of what you're doing. For being so young, not young in business, but like you're a young man.
I appreciate it.
A young man, but with business experience. Awesome to hear that you're about your dad giving you your first shot there and doing the content for the coffee shop. That's awesome. So you already had inroads into understanding business, and I'm so glad to have met you through BNI. Before we go though, I want you to tell everyone how they can find you, so I can put it in the description box below. What's the best way for people to reach you if they want your help?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website, www.operatecreative.com. You can start there. It's a good place to start. If you want to see more of my beautiful face, at Operate Creative on Instagram and all socials, and you can find us there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming by the studio. I know you're off to go do another shoot, so I want to respect your time. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, I need to get this guy out of here. So we're going to get you out of here. I know it feels pretty short, right? So Harris, thank you so much for everything you're doing in business space. I already know we're going to be working on some stuff in the new year, and I'm actually putting a panel together that I'm going to have you come be a part of in the new year as well. So thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much for being here and being so transparent. And thank you all for watching. If you need to reach Harris, you can find his contact information in the description box below. If there's something you need us to help you with, go ahead and shoot us an email, and we'll be glad to follow up and help you with all of your content creation and podcast dreams. Thanks for watching. We'll check you out on the next episode. See you later. Bye.